Sunday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern here on BeyondRingside.com. Join us for the Midnight Black Mass. Myself, the Rev Dan Wilson, brings you the dark gospel of professional wrestling, uncensored, unedited, uncut, and not for the faint of heart. You can find out more about us at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe at Potty Humor on iTunes and Stitcher today.
Forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies, and welcome to another edition, Season 7, Episode 3, as a matter of fact, of the Midnight Black Mass radio show and podcast. I am your host, the maniacal minister of the occult, the devil you know, the Reverend the Dragon, Dan Wilson, and how the hell are you? Alongside me is my broadcast partner, my partner in crime, the Mouse of Hell, Andrew Alexander. How's it going, man?
Man, it's going. I gotta start the show off with something, but I'll let you introduce our other guest first.
Okay, well, let me do that, and then the floor is yours, of course, for the third week in a row, our guest. And now I would like to happily announce official third co-host of the Midnight Black Mass, the Strong Style Psycho Tank. How's it going, brother?
What's going on, fellas? Ready to get this shit underway.
Oh, yeah. We got a lot of fun topics to talk about tonight. I think the feature topic, just because of some discussion I've had with some of my wrestling peers and various conversations over the week, is going to be our favorite wrestling urban legends. It's such a wild and wacky business that we've been a part of for so many years, and there's so many crazy things that are true, and you probably wouldn't believe them, and then there's a bunch of things that are just as crazy and probably aren't true. So, but regardless, they've made their way into the lore and the mythos of professional wrestling, so we're going to talk about it tonight here on the program. But Andrew Alexander, I'm told you have something you want to say here.
Man, I just want to start off, and I don't know where this will take us. Hopefully it don't lead to a bunch of ranting and raving, but it may. We don't tackle politics a lot on here. But I just got to say that over this past weekend, man, I was just reminded of why I take such great pride in being an American, because, man, the country come together, and I fully support 100% all of these women that are fighting for their rights and that are getting together in large numbers. I mean, thousands of women getting together, coming together as one, and marching to better themselves by burning a few calories and dropping some weight. That really makes me happy to see that.
I don't even know what to say.
I mean, does that not excite you?
I mean, yes, it does. Probably for different reasons than it does you. But yeah, like, you know, I don't think there was anything wrong with that. Like, on a serious note, the people got all bent out of shape about these ladies wanting to march. Like, I mean, come on, you know, they didn't break nothing, they didn't burn nothing. They just said, "Hey, motherfucker, we're watching you. We're gonna hold you accountable. We're gonna be cool about it, but we're gonna do." I kind of like that. That's just my opinion.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, I ain't got a problem with it. I mean, goddamn, think about it. Donald Trump got them bitches to walk more in one day than Michelle Obama did in 8 years. So,
Jesus Christ. Fucking
Hey, the terrorists, the oversensitive terrorists that we have in this country, they've won. They've defeated me because the second I saw the picture of all these women huddled together in all the major cities throughout the country, that popped in my head. That was the instant thought I had. Well, maybe they'll drop a little weight doing all that marching. And I grabbed my phone to post it on Facebook, and I instantly stopped because I knew the backlash and the heat would just be so tremendous that I would never probably see a pussy again in my life, much less be able to grant one. So I didn't do it, and I felt bad. So I tried it out a couple times. A couple women I saw here and there today, I said it. And it went over about as well as you think it did. And one woman, one African-American lady that I know, she said, you know what, people were griping, but where were all these Caucasian women when Donald Trump got 53% of their vote? And I said, instantly, without missing a beat, I said, well, hopefully they were at home barefoot and pregnant where they belonged. Oh, man. It's so easy.
Jesus.
It's so easy.
Yeah, we don't touch the realm of politics very often here on the show. Hey, you hear enough of it, and we're here to entertain you, and that's what this is. This is for entertainment purposes, so take it however you want. But let's talk about one of my personal heroes, the Strong Style Psycho Tank, our guest here on the show. Earlier in this week, my brother man here was laid up in a hospital bed with a health scare. But did that deter him? Fuck no, because that's not what he does, and that's not what he's about, and this is his final march in his career, and he's not going to let that stop him, so he still made the town this Saturday night. Talk about that a little bit, man.
Yeah, man, I was just fiddle farting around, and I was at the gym earlier that morning, and I had a chest pain, like a real tightness. So I went to the emergency room, and they said, well, we're going to admit you. And I was like, oh, shit. So they gave me the stress test and all this and that. And the heart, the ticker's good. My blood pressure's a little high. My cholesterol's a little high. That just comes with the territory of being a fat ass. But, yeah, it was definitely a hell scare. And then I still made my town Saturday night in Porterdale, Georgia. And had a hell of a match with me and Iceberg and the Carpenter, as we took on Bill the Butcher and the Hooligans. And if you've never been to Porterdale, it's not a very big joint. So we had to take that sumbitch outside and fight out in the street. Got the cops called on us. So it was a good night.
Fuck yeah.
What night did you spend in the hospital? I mean, I know you told me, but what night exactly was it again?
Tuesday night.
Okay, Tuesday night. Okay, that's a couple days. But let me just say, in case your wife didn't, which I know she did, you're a dumb son of a bitch. You should not have went to that damn wrestling show.
Hey, dude, I heard that shit. I was laying in the goddamn hospital bed about 4 o'clock in the morning. And she goes, well, I guess you won't be wrestling this week. I go, well, it all depends. And then when they discharged me, I was like, well, I guess I'll be doing that show Saturday. And she goes, yeah, you're a dumb motherfucker.
Man, you got to respect it. But, I mean, if I was making the call for you, I would have said, nope, motherfucker, you go sit your ass at home. But you don't listen very well. So, I'm sure all honesty, even in the hospital, once, I don't know, all the stress and everything, my anxiety went down, my heart, my chest pains or chest tightness went away. So it was just like spending the night in a fucking hospital for no reason. And then when I did all the stress tests with no problem, and I was just like, they just held me there for a little bit longer, fed me some nasty fucking hospital food. This is a funny story, though. If I can tell this one, we're sitting there. They bring me this nasty-ass grilled chicken, broccoli, a little thing of mashed potatoes, and a roll. And I was like, is this it? And the nurse was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is just going to piss me off. So I took a bite of the chicken. It was still halfway frozen in the middle. So I immediately called my wife, who was at home with our 2 children. And I said, hey, bring me something to eat because this food here sucks. And she said, well, what do you want? I go, just pick something up. I don't care. So she comes rolling in about 40 minutes later,
and the doctor's in there telling me everything I need to do and not do. And the fucking smell of Arby's throughout the whole room. And I know that doctor's thinking, this fat motherfucker just had a health scare. He's going to eat goddamn fast food. So he stayed in there longer than normal. I was like, man, you got to go the hell home. And as soon as that door closed, I done had about 4 cheese sticks and a half of a damn beef and cheddar roast beef sandwich. I was hungry as fuck.
And then you finally ate some of the Arby's.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, yeah, damn. I did the little stress test gimmick. Like, they didn't. I went to the hospital a little after midnight, so I asked for a drink of water, and they were like, well, you can't have anything to eat or drink until after your stress test. And I was like, what time is that? And they're like, we don't know. It was at 8:30. I did it, and the little lady who did my little stress test, hooked me up and all that. I got done, and she's like, I bet you're hungry. I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, like she gave me a pack of crackers and a little thing of water, and I ate those crackers in like 19 seconds. I mean, they were fucking gone before she even sat down. And she was like, would you like another pack? I was like, how about 2 or 3 more packs? So, yeah, I'm sitting there eating fucking crackers, fucking starving. I mean, y'all know my appetite. I can fucking eat. And, yeah, I fucked those crackers up. And then they took my blood sugar, and it was through the roof. So then they were like, oh, my God, you're going to fucking go into a diabetic coma. And I'm like, no, I just had crackers. And they're sticking all kinds of insulin shots in my big ass. And I'm like, give me a break with this shit. I'm good. Let me go home. And then that night, after I ate that Arby's, we were trying to find something else to eat. So I was like, hey, McDonald's has got this new Big Mac. It's like a fucking Whopper-sized Big Mac. So, yeah, I fucked that shit up, too. God damn. I don't learn to fucking lose. You know what I'm saying?
They got a new Big Mac? What are you talking about?
Well, they got what they call the Mini Mac, the regular Big Mac, and one now called the Grand Mac, which is like a fucking quarter pounder, like a double quarter pounder with cheese, drenched in fucking Big Mac sauce. So yeah, I fucked that shit up.
Man, I can't fathom why you're in bad health.
Yeah, no shit. But anyway, let's talk some wrestling.
You gave us a little bit of a scare. I'm definitely glad that, because I was kind of waking up and I got that text. I popped up real quick. I was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, no shit.
Good, man.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
I appreciate everybody checking on me, and we're good to go, man. I hope to keep this the last ride tour going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously your health comes first and foremost, but, good to hear it was a scare and just that. And, you continued and you told us a little bit about the match. I know you talked about you were anticipating getting a tangle with the hooligans, and I don't want to turn this into indie wrestler Facebook where you're fucking blowing each other every 5 minutes talking about how great this guy is that you just went in and beat the shit out of. But, what was it like dealing with those cats? Because I kind of feel like they're kind of like one of the few teams really carrying that torch of like guys who will call it in the ring and like still want to wrestle like a fucking wrestling match, like traditional wrestling and not some like special niche style. I don't know. What about that experience?
Oh man, it was, we just pretty much did this full on 6-way brawl. Go out the little building and outside in the fucking street. But they were so cool to work with. And after watching them, I remember them from years ago when they were breaking in, just trying to earn a spot on the shows we were on. And, didn't think much of them. Just like, well, just 2 little short guys trying to be wrestlers. But man, they fucking hit the streets, man. They hit the roads. They fucking learned their craft, going from they wrestle all over the country, Mexico, Canada. And they fucking drive. It ain't like they get flown into these places. They drive. And after the match, we were back there, of course, and they were like, this is a match that me and my brother had been looking forward to for a long fucking time. And that makes an old fat guy feel good. I was like, these guys still respect me and Iceberg enough that they were looking forward to this match. It wasn't just like we're just going to this town to have a fucking match. I mean, they were looking forward to it as much as I was.
Yeah, that's fucking awesome. You know, all my encounters with those guys, they're some real motherfuckers. You know, they live that gimmick, and like, you know, they just remind me a lot of the old timers, which not a lot of guys do anymore. Not a lot of guys are those real life characters. You know, it's just refreshing to see. Like I said, I don't want to turn it into just fucking blowing each other, because that seems to be the new trend in indie wrestling, and it's kind of gross to me. You know, not literally blowing each other. I'm actually way more fine with that than fucking the figurative blowing of each other that occurs on the fucking indie wrestling scene right now. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, you want to promote your buddies and shit. Social media is important. I get it. I fucking get it. But still, there's a part of me that's like, why aren't you fucking trying to beat each other up? Aren't you selling a fight? Sorry,
yeah, exactly.
Minor rant there.
I mean, no, I totally agree with you. It's not like, you know, we had the match and then I went straight to Facebook 10 minutes later. Oh, I love these guys so much. They beat the shit out of me, but I love them. You know, nah, fuck all that. I mean, everybody knows the shit. I ain't gonna get into it. Fuck it. Go ahead. Let's move on.
Trying to keep the blood pressure down.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, well, that's good to hear. So one thing we promised last week on the program that we get into this week would be some discussion about the 2017 WWE Hall of Fame. Now, I interviewed J.J. Dillon on the Somehow We Manage podcast back on the Woo Wrestling Network before Al Getz retired. And so on that show, he quickly corrected me when I just introduced him as a WWE Hall of Famer, and you know, reminded me of like two other brick and mortar Hall of Fames. I believe one in one's in Amsterdam, New York, I think, and then the other one is in I think it used to be in Waterloo, Iowa, but it's moved somewhere else now. But there's like two other go ahead.
It's in Texas somewhere.
Yeah,
Frisco, Texas, maybe?
Yeah. It is definitely Texas. He was telling us about that, you know, how they were building a whole new facility and shit. So not to discount those Hall of Fames, because as far as credentials like those, and then for like figurative Hall of Fames, you know, up until a certain point probably, I mean, it's still got credibility, but I think over the last few years, like the one opinion of wrestling has kind of taken it over, and that's the Observer Hall of Fame. You know, there's still like a credible criterion of how that's voted on, and on these other Hall of Fames, much more so than this one. WWE Hall of Fame, you know, it seems to just be whoever Vince wants to fucking induct that year. That's fine. It's his Hall of Fame, because, you know, you have like such a great disparate in the fucking talent between some of the people on the list. You know, it's like Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame. You know, he never really got past the middle of the card. But I'm fine with that if that's what they want to do, you know. But a lot of talk about this year's Hall of Fame class. Of course, we have one official inductee, and since we're running live against Monday Night Raw right now, there'll probably be another one announced. But Kurt Angle has been announced so far. Just want to kind of get a panel discussion on the inductees and their worthiness, and, you know, just your general opinion of the matter.
Oh, man, I mean, I think Kurt...
No,
go ahead. I mean, I think Kurt Angle deserved it a few years ago. You know, I know he had his little run in TNA, but, I mean, he was... I don't know what y'all thought about him. I thought he was fucking great. I mean, as an amateur wrestler to professional wrestling, I mean, he was... Not only was he an entertainer, he was a fucking legit badass. You know, he could go out there and entertain, and they gave him some stupid-ass gimmicks, and he made the best of it, and he got over with that shit. But as far as wrestling-wise, I mean, hell, he could have beat anybody in the fucking WWE at the time in a fucking shoot. And I've said this before, if UFC would have been around when he got out of the Olympics, you know, as big as it is now, he would have gotten into that instead of professional wrestling. He would have probably been the best MMA fighter of all time. That's just my opinion on Kurt Angle.
Andrew?
Yeah, he's you know, I love the Hall of Fame. Like, it's pretty much my favorite wrestling of the year. I mean, it's right there with WrestleMania. Those two are my absolute favorite days of the year. I love when they can keep who is going in at least a surprise until you see, the video package, and that happens less and less and less. And this one was kept, pretty quiet until the day of. Huge shock. Was expecting the highly rumored DDP to be kind of the headliner, which is a good choice. I mean, I don't know if it's the greatest headliner, but definitely I'm super excited he's going in. I'm a DDP fan for sure. But, you look for that big top main event talent, especially that was a main event talent in the WWE. They typically be, exceptions like Sting and people like that. But Kurt Angle's, man, a freaking badass. The only thing I worry about, and I know that if he's able to, they can just do whatever they want because it's not set in stone. But I just would love to see Kurt Angle have, even if it's just 1 year, if he had a 1 year run, a limited schedule, and just got to work with some of these new guys. I would love to see that. And I mean, I know there's already rumors. There's rumors about the Royal Rumble this Sunday, WrestleMania, and all these things. But I hope this doesn't, kind of seal the fate of his in-ring career as far as the WWE goes. But I'm super excited about it. I love the Hall of Fame. I've heard a lot of rumor names this year. A big fan of pretty much all of them, I believe. So I'm definitely looking forward to it. It's always my favorite. I hate when they shorten times and wrap guys up. I just want to hear stories. I want to hear guys. Because it's their moment, man. I think if you're up there, you deserve it. I'm glad Tank didn't go on a huge rant because Coco Beware is definitely his guy to go to. Like, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard the phrase or read the text, if goddamn Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame, ... Where the fuck is Bruiser Brody? I'd be a rich fan. I agree. I think that's something that's always gets said. I don't think it's fair for any of us to ever say that this person doesn't really belong in the Hall of Fame. Now, I totally get the thing of saying, how the fuck can Coco Beware be in the Hall of Fame and Rick Rude is not, which hopefully he's going in this year. I get that. You do have to break them up a little bit, though. You can't have, like, the absolute top guys going every year. But I get how some people should definitely be in there before others. But pretty much anyone that's ever been inducted, I feel, kind of paid dues and deserve it. Maybe not so much the celebrities, but the actual inductees.
Yeah, and I guess, and I wasn't trying to shit on their Hall of Fame in the least. It also is one of my favorite things that they do. I love the class of the event, that everybody dresses up in suits and, treats it with a lot of respect. And, they do the whole red carpet deal now and shit. I dig the shit out of it. It is one of the best showings that they usually have all year, especially, when you get some really good speeches or, somebody maybe has a few too many drinks and goes a little long and gets a little rowdy. Like, that's always fun. So, I've definitely loved most all of the Hall of Fame ceremonies, even attended one in person. Definitely not trying to shit on it, just, all being fair. J.J. Dillon made sure to tell me there was more than one official Wrestling Hall of Fame, so I had to give the others their credit. But so, yeah, I agree with everything you guys said about Kurt Angle. One of my favorite guys of the last era of, like, new stars, probably, the last couple decades, where he's one of the only, like, really new, huge stars of a very small handful of guys that broke through to a certain level over the last 10, 20 years. And so, like Tank said, his legitimacy coming from the amateur wrestling background, I just thought he'd always helped the business, because you had this guy, as goofy, as silly as he could be, in the top spot, he was the baddest guy in the business. And so, there was actually a time where the guy who could beat anybody in the ring was the champion. And that was pretty cool. And so, very excited for Kurt Angle. And I do have a Kurt Angle story, a very brief one. One time when I was at backstage with fucking Bill doing a Raw thing, I wasn't even booked on this one. I was just there. It was Bill's lackey. And it was in like 2001 when they were doing the ECW invasion, and so we were over at catering getting food, and Scott Hudson hollered at me from across the catering to go over to him and meet somebody or some shit. And I fucking turned around, and as I swung, Kurt Angle was fucking standing there with a goddamn plate full of chicken and rice. And I knocked his fucking chicken and rice out of his hands into the floor. And in my mind, I was picturing he was going to fucking, like, slam me through the table or fucking whip my ass or something. But he was just very polite about it, and I appreciated that because that was really embarrassing, me being a fucking nobody back there. Really with no business back there, just somehow eked a pass because of Bill, and he's I fucked up his dinner and he didn't kill me, so that was cool.
I've never heard that shit. That's a crazy ass story.
Yeah, I haven't told that story in many years. It's kind of embarrassing.
That's pretty awesome,
Yeah,
though. He didn't fucking give you a...
murdered you.
Yeah, I thought he was going to, but he didn't.
He could have gave you an angle slam through the fucking catering table.
That's the scenario that was going on in slow motion in my head as I watched his plate hit the ground. But yeah, so that's great. Kurt Angle go to the Hall of Fame's huge. No other official announcements. Like I said, as we're talking about this, I'm sure if you're checking the Facebook wire, Eddie Layne, or you're watching Raw, or our prestigious producer, if you happen to hear who the announcement is tonight for Hall of Fame, let us know. But we're going to talk about the speculation now at this point, because that's what it is. None of this is official, but it's highly rumored. Already mentioned that DDP would be going into the Hall of Fame, and I think he deserves that as well. I think some people scoff at that, and a lot of people say that, DDP only got a spot because of his buddies. And I mean, maybe he did, but he worked his fucking ass off. And during a time in WCW when pretty much everybody else was fucking phoning it in, DDP was out there every night on the goddamn house shows busting ass. And we saw him in Chattanooga and Atlanta and Dalton. Thoughts on DDP?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Man. Whoever scoffed at that, fuck them, man. DDP was pretty damn awesome. He was definitely a top guy in WCW, one of the better guys, main event guys, like you said, not phoning it in. And you go
other than Goldberg, one of the only stars they created. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And you go back and watch some Nitros from '96. Watch any given Nitro, and I've almost bet you that DDP has the best match on the show. I don't care if it's against a jobber. I don't care if it's against fucking the Renegade or Johnny B. Bad or whoever the fuck, man. He was busting his ass, and dude was like, he had to be 40 then. He was badass. Not to mention, he didn't invent it, but he made one of the most, maybe the most famous wrestling move ever. It's in the top 2 or 3. It's definitely the most famous of the modern era, really. The Diamond Cutter. He made that famous. And the Stone Cold Stunner is a variation that's also probably just as famous, but Diamond Cutter living on with Randy Orton, the RKO, it's a big fucking deal. DDP definitely deserves it. Definitely glad. Not to mention, as far as people that are good representation of people that come from the wrestling business, is there any better one out there right now than DDP? Fucking literally saving lives and shit.
True.
Yeah.
I was always a big fan. I thought, because first time I'd really seen him, he was in, he'd kind of go back and forth between Memphis and AWA, managing a bag company. He was just out there running his mouth, and he came to WCW and started working. I was like, well, he was a little rough at first. So hell, we all are. But then, like you said, he would have the best match on every fucking Nitro, pretty much every pay-per-view, because he busted his ass. Yeah, and he was in his 40s when that happened. And then his little run in WWE, it's one of those, they didn't create him, so they're just going to have Taker kill him off. And he started the DDP yoga, and like Andy said, he's saving lives and shit. And he's a bad boy, and I hope he gets it. He definitely deserves it more than goddamn Coco Beware. Ooh.
Yeah, for sure. DDP busted his ass to get, his spot. And so regardless of who he knew, nobody can say he doesn't deserve it. I think very cool moment and probably pretty sentimental for a lot of guys. Because like you said, he did save, Jake and Scott Hall. And I'm sure he'll save a few more before it's all said and done. But another one of my all-time favorite wrestlers, maybe I don't know if he's my all-time favorite heel, but he's not my all-time favorite heel, but he's one of them. He's top 5 at least if you're just ranking favorite heels, and that's Ravishing Rick Rude. Man, another guy that I saw again. Like we didn't get WWF here very often. We got WWF maybe once a year, but we got WCW like every other month. And so I saw a lot of Rick Rude in like late 91, early 92, early 93. And again, another guy that just worked his fucking ass off and got so much heat. And he came in at that time in the unenviable spot of following Ric Flair as the top heel in WCW after Flair had left to go to the WWF, and so they created the Dangerous Alliance, and Rick Rude was the head of it, and he was great. Not to mention his legendary WWF stuff, of course, his Intercontinental Champion, he was the Ultimate Warrior, just all of the great stuff that he did in New York. But, I think overlooked often is that WCW run where he was the best fucking worker all around on that show. And I don't know, man, what are your thoughts on Rick Rude?
Well, I'll let Tank finish up on that because I know he loves Rick Rude, but I'm a big Rick Rude fan, man, always has been. It's a shame that he left way too soon. And we know how that goes with the WWE and the Hall of Fame. They steer away from that more than one, maybe 2 people a year. So it's taken a while, but finally going in, so unbelievably well-deserved. Such an amazing talent, amazing worker. The gimmick was fucking, it's memorable. That's something that people, casual wrestling fans, you do a little hip swivel and they know what the fuck you're doing. What I'd like to have right now, that's badass shit. And man, Rick Rude is still considered one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time, and people don't even realize that he held that belt like 4 months. He didn't even have the run that you think he had, but he was so awesome and held the title such a great, iconic time that he goes down as one of the greatest Intercontinental Champions of all time. And that's just in the WWE. Like you said, WCW, oh my God, he may have been the best guy. He probably carried that company for 2 years with Sting and Vader. They were tearing it up too, but Tank is quite the Rick Rude fan, right, Tank?
Oh yeah, yeah. He was part of one of my favorite tag teams of all time, Rick Rude and Manny Fernandez. They were NWA Tag Team Champions. I get shit for that all the time, but I thought they were badass together.
From who? Who gives you shit about that?
You do, motherfucker, because I like Manny Fernandez. Anyway, yeah. Fucking Rude was awesome. As far as his in ring, and he was an asshole. He was a true heel that even though you wanted to, you still wouldn't cheer for him. You know what I mean? He's the guy, whether you loved him or not, you still booed his ass because he was an arrogant prick. And he was doing what he was supposed to be doing, getting people to fucking hate him. Where like now all the heels want to be cool heels, and you know what I'm saying? Everybody, I want to be the cool guy. Fuck that. He would fucking rip you to shreds and call you fat, out of shape, Dunlap douchebag or whatever he would say. It was just always awesome. And speaking of, the hip swivel, me and Dragon were on a show in Rome, Georgia, and Rick Rude's son was there. And he was cool as hell. He was just shooting the shit with us. So, he never wanted to be a wrestler. I forgot what kind of business he was in. But there was a shithead wrestler insurance. There was a shithead on the card who had his title airbrushed on his tights and came out to Rick Rude's music and did the whole fucking Rick Rude gimmick. And I didn't personally see it because it happened during my match, but he came to the back, and apparently Rude Jr. fucking lit into his ass and was like, how the fuck you going to do my dad's gimmick? You don't even have abs. He's like, you suck. And so needless to say, I'm not gonna mention any names. I ain't gonna bury nobody, but it was pretty fucking awesome once I heard the story. And you know, he was back there. I mean, he didn't talk a whole lot about his dad, but he did tell us that if he ever wanted to wrestle, he would have a spot at the fucking performance center. But you know, he's the Rude himself, though, man. Like, you know, when he debuted at Halloween Havoc '91 here in Chattanooga, I mean, I was just like, holy shit, that's Rick. I mean, even when he came out as the Halloween Phantom, I was like, there's something about this guy. And then he hit the Rude Awakening, and I go, I think it's Rick Rude. And he came out later on and took the mask off. But he did so much good shit in WCW with Sting and the whole Dangerous Alliance. And so, yeah.
Oh, my God, Steamboat. Him and Steamboat had some fucking killer matches.
I mean, they had the first Iron Man match.
Yep.
You know, at Bash at the Beach. That only went 30 minutes, but it was fucking badass. You know, and then his stuff in Japan when he won, like, the NWA International title. I watched a bunch of matches he had with, like, Masa Chono and Muda and all these guys, and he was just fucking tearing it up, doing his style against their style. Plus, he was another guy. He was legit badass. You know, nobody wanted to fuck with. Nobody wanted to arm wrestle him because he'd break the fucking arm off. But yeah, I've heard stories about guys not wanting to fight him. He just beat the shit out of them. So yeah, he definitely needs to go in. And it's like you know, if Coco Beware's in that motherfucker, why ain't Rick Rude in there?
And my favorite choice of the alleged entries on this round. And Fast Eddie Layne, our producer, I understand you have a Rick Rude story you wanted to share.
I was working 1993 down at a little club on Gregory Street in Pensacola, Florida, and Battle Bowl rolled around. Well, Tex Slozinger, Shanghai Pierce, the whole cotillion from WCW, Tech Crew, all of the above was coming into the club I was working with. And there was this one night in particular, I see him walking in wearing full-scale suit in true character, and that's Rick Rude. And I get a chance to go over, and I'd worked with one promotion down on the Gulf Coast for a little while, but nothing major. And walked up to him, introduced myself. We spoke for a few minutes, and some of the girls were coming up like, you know Rick Rude? Yes, it's one of those clubs. Thanks for playing. Sammy's, Gregory Street. Don't care. I'll mention it. And some of the girls were coming up like just fawning all over Rude. Well, I happened to have my camera with me that day. And lo and behold, some of the girls were like, hey, Mr. Rude, can he take your picture with us? And it's like, he's just cool as hell going, sure, go ahead. So we went out on the back stoop, neutral background, no cameras in the club. And I took some pictures of some of the girls with Rick, clothed, not naked. Thanks for playing. Damn it. And them nude, not him. Trust me on that one. But after it was over with, he looked at me and said, what about you? You want to go and get a shot while I'm here? It's like, I'd love to. I just didn't want to come across like a complete mark and ask. He's like, dude, don't worry about it. Come on. I got a special picture just for you. So I gave the camera to one of the girls that I knew very well. She turned around, had everything lined up. He said, now count to 3. I said, oh, God, I'm going to get killed. And we're side by side. He's got his arm over my shoulder. I've got my arm behind his back. And he's like, then the girl goes 1, 2, 3, turns around. His mock snatches me into a sleeper hold. Click. Hello. I've got that one. Oh, it was perfect. Rude was absolutely phenomenal the whole time he was there. Great, easy to talk to, great to hang out with. And like I said, I floated that picture around social media recently. It's back up, I believe, on my Instagram and on Facebook. I'll put that one back out if it's official and he goes into the HOF this year. But thank you for letting me share that one.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Like probably my favorite pick, as I said, of the potential class if he is indeed confirmed. You know, it's high time he go in, and a damn shame that we lost him so early because think of the knowledge. I mean, boy, the Performance Center could use a Rick Rude teaching some of these guys how to be a heel, just like Tank was talking. That would be fantastic. So unfortunately, that never came to pass. But a great choice. Hope he goes in. Several other great picks for the Hall of Fame. I'm going to try to lump them together here so we can kind of save on some time. So some other potential recommendations for the Hall of Fame this year. I've heard that Erwin R. Shyster, one Mike Rotunda, will be going in. And, you know, another guy, dude, super solid hand, you know, never was the top guy anywhere. He was always in the upper middle. But I think they always have the obligatory, you know, somebody who's related to you here so they can induct you entry, and so I think that's him. But not to discount his career, because of course he was a hell of an amateur wrestler at Syracuse, and then later had a good strong run and a top heel spot as the Erwin R. Shyster character in the WWF. So what do you guys think about Rotunda?
Okay.
I have no problem with it. I think he's awesome. I like him better as I like him better as the Mike Rotunda and the fucking Varsity Club, because it was like a legit, stable. Him, Dr. Death, Kevin Sullivan, but his run in WWE as Erwin R. Shyster, it was badass too. I mean, he was always very, very talented.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a big fan of that IRS shit, but mainly because I thought him and Ted DiBiase was a fucking amazing team as Money Inc. Not only had a good about a year run together, but I thought they were really good, kind of underrated as a team. That's one thing I like about the inductees is the people that'll induct them, and I would think that DiBiase is probably a shoe-in to induct him. A big fan of him. And then just, you never know who's going to show up to induct these guys, so that's always something to look forward to as well.
I mean, you don't think Bray Wyatt would induct his own dad?
I don't think they should acknowledge that. I would find that to be very silly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I do too, but I'd be like, oh, no, they're related.
Yeah, I could see them doing it now that you mention it, but I don't think they should. But, we'll see.
Yeah, interesting to think about. Some of the other names on the list of natural disasters, which, I think Earthquake should go in on his own for that fucking awesome run with Hogan. Like, a lot of people hate Earthquake, but I think he was fucking amazing, so suck my balls if you don't like Earthquake.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome.
And Typhoon, I'm glad to see him going in. Fred Ottman, one of the nicest guys in the business, according to everybody, and is a real good sport about the whole Shockmaster deal. He's in bad health recently, so hope he kicks out and is able to make the Hall of Fame induction, because you want to see a guy like that rewarded. Like you say, if you're going to let Coco Beware in, then why not Tugboat? Fuck it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't put in a lot of, the whole that guy should go in by himself. I mean, some of them, there's some big ones that definitely should, but I don't think it's that big of an issue, especially, Earthquake, unfortunately, not longer with us either. But I'm a huge mark for tag teams, especially the old school tag teams that had like a shtick, a gimmick, had a similar look, things such as that. Gotta love the natural disasters. Always did.
And then another entry being discussed is Christian. I know that excites you, Andrew.
You goddamn right. My absolute favorite, my absolute favorite wrestler of the modern era, hands down. Super excited. I'm hoping to actually get to go to Mania. I've kind of been hoping to, but when I heard that was rumored, it kicked it into high gear, because I saw Bret Hart inducted, I saw Ric Flair inducted, so Christian's definitely a good one to add to that list. Hank will lead you to believe that he thinks Christian sucks, but it's just a fuck with me, because I trust Hank's opinion. And I know that he has a decent eye for talent, so there's no way he truly believes that.
No, he don't suck. I just like fucking with you. But I can see why Coco Beware was in before that motherfucker, though.
Now, I do find it interesting, if Christian goes in, that means Christian's in the Hall of Fame and Coco Beware's in the Hall of Fame, but Manny Fernandez is nowhere to be found. That's just interesting fact.
God damn it.
Give them time. It's not like legends grow on trees, so you got. They're going to probably get to everybody who was a star eventually. Like, one thing that kind of boggles my mind is how Wahoo fucking McDaniel doesn't go into the Hall of Fame in Florida. But whatever. Maybe he goes into Charlotte.
Yeah, that's one of those that, there's some big omissions. I mean, there definitely are.
Ivan Koloff.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
No way Ivan Koloff's not in the Hall of Fame. You're shitting me.
Ivan Koloff is not in the WWE Hall of Fame. Former WWF champ, the man who beat Bruno Sammartino, is not the Hall of Fame.
And as an aside on Koloff, have you ever seen the footage of that early title change and some of their other matches?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause everybody says that old New York shit is boring, and I mean, a lot of it is, but dude, those guys were working their asses off. They were fucking moving. Like, that, most of the footage of Koloff and Bruno that's out there is like they were, well into their careers. But, like, those early title matches that everybody rants and raves about, it's for good reason. They hold up very well.
Y'all have to look those up. I ain't never seen them.
Oh yeah, we'd have to have a whole episode dedicated to who's not in the Hall of Fame and should be.
Oh, for sure. So a couple other heavily rumored picks. I feel like I'm missing one. Who am I leaving out? Yeah.
William Regal.
William Regal. Yes, that was another big one. It was a year of a lot of like really good technical wrestlers who weren't necessarily like main event draws, but were really solid dudes in the ring. And Regal probably could have been a main eventer had he been pushed a little younger in his career, but then he had his own like substance issues. And I mean, he was a quasi main eventer in WCW because he definitely carried a lot of the shit he was on in like 93, 94. So, but just one of the best in-ring technicians ever, and like a great character, just that perfect like working heel. I personally loved like the Lord Steven Regal shit. He toned that down to more of like a Hugh Grant-ish British character in the WWE. But I loved his over-the-top like old school British Lord gimmick, like the way he would fucking put his arm behind his back and just the sneering fucking faces that he would make and wear his ridiculous fucking outfits. That shit was great.
Oh yeah. I had Bill Dundee was his little lackey, Sir. He was Sir William, actually.
Yeah, I'm a big Regal fan.
I heard another name. I texted Andy last week talking about Beth Phoenix going in, and my thing was, how the hell is she going to go in and like Luna's not in, or Victoria, or who else do we say?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. How did she go in before any three of those?
Because she's alive, probably.
Yeah, that
helps. Maybe.
But like, the thing is I loved Beth Phoenix, man, but it's definitely really soon for her to go in, and plus, I don't know if her whole run she should even kind of be in. I mean, to be honest, but when you're comparing to the names we just said, Missy Hyatt, Luna, Elizabeth, Victoria is kind of a little bit in that same boat, but she was had a little bit.
She
more
was
of a
good.
Run. Yeah, she was real fucking good. I get it. She's married to Edge. I think if Christian goes in, it's a safe bet who's inducting him. Hell, Edge might induct her. Who the fuck knows? But it's not like I'm against it. It seems a little odd. It seems a little forced. It seems like we have to have a woman every year now. So find us a woman that can be there. You know what I mean?
I'm fine with that, but when they start getting the parameters of, and they also have to be alive, you're really narrowing your field in the professional wrestling industry, unfortunately. Like they kind of have this stipulation of, they only want to do so many posthumous because they don't want it to be like a memoriam session, and it could easily turn into that in some cases. So, they don't really want that kind of vibe at the Hall of Fame, and I understand that, but, still, like...
Oh, here's we forgot Chyna. I mean, yeah, she's not with us, but Chyna. I know that's still kind of fresh, so I guess.
Don't you think it would be a little tasteless for them to put China in so soon after she died, after blackballing her for years? I mean, like, you think that might make them look like kind of shitty?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Another one. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she'd even want to, but I mean, I think Sable deserves a spot a little more than Beth Phoenix just for her impact.
Sable drew more money than most of the women they've had. Say what you want about her. I mean, she was the top female draw in the era of the most popular time in the business. So even though she couldn't wrestle a fucking lick, she was over as shit and drew a lot of money. So, that counts for a lot. It counts for most in a business that's entertainment. So,
do you think?
Do you think? Hard to argue.
I mean, I know he's in the Rumble and going to have the match at Mania. You thinking they might put Goldberg in this year, or you think they're going to wait for like another Atlanta run before they put him in?
Well, what would they say? New Orleans is next year, and then possibly Atlanta the year after that. So I think they might be waiting until Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would wait on that.
Because there's only so many headliners, and Goldberg's a headliner.
Oh yeah.
And another thing, something I kind of love when we see some people at the Hall of Fame that we kind of haven't seen in a long time and we kind of lost touch with. And I don't think this class has that as much because Kurt Angle, just recently on TNA for a good decade, can still see Christian around on the network, see Regal around on NXT, Fred Ottman doing a lot of appearances last year, signing a Legends deal, an action figure deal with Mattel. Most of these people, DDP is still kind of out there. So most of the people going in are people we just still kind of get to see and get to hear from a little bit, if this makes sense. I like those guys that you're like, man, I haven't seen that guy do anything in years, and see, how they're doing and shit like that. Don't get a lot of that this year.
Yeah, maybe they'll surprise us with some inductors or something. But and then there's another one rumored pick. It doesn't look like we're going to get in. We got like 5 minutes, so we're not going to get into the other topic about urban legends. We've ate this entire broadcast up with the Hall of Fame. That gives us plenty of time to talk about urban legends next week here, and that's what our big topic of conversation will be. So I want you to prepare, I want you to research all of your favorite wrestling urban legends and hit us up on Twitter at Dragons Rejects or at Beyond Ringside or at Tank_EST1996. And let us know, what urban legends you want us to talk about next week on the show. But go ahead.
Oh no. What? I'm lost.
I think that was background noise. Who was you about to mention on the Hall of Fame, man?
Oh, well, some people have mentioned that they might induct Owen Hart this year. I think that's because of the DVD recently coming out. That'd be awesome, but again, is that maybe a guy you want to save for a headliner?
Yeah, he's a headliner.
He is, but it's hard. You can't have a headliner when they can't be there. It's just not. Randy Savage didn't get the headline, which God knows he should have got to.
Right,
but
good point.
It's really tough, and the Owen Hart thing is always rumored. That's kind of an urban legend right there. I don't know. Man, I don't know if that'll happen. I don't know if it'll ever happen while his wife's alive. And she's only hurting, really, the fans,
Yeah.
The WWE might make a little money here and there on some merch if they produced it and things such as that. But in the long run, that's who is hurting from her decision. And Owen is a guy that goes back to that conversation about somebody that should go in alone. I definitely agree. I definitely see it. But I've always thought it would be awesome, and the best way to do it is to do the 97 Hart Foundation as a group, because you have Bulldog, Pillman, and Owen, who all, hands down, deserve to go in without any debate, but they're not with us. And that's a big deal. And then you can also have Jim Neidhart, who deserves to go in, and Bret Hart to there's a handful of people that deserve to be two-time Hall of Famers. Ric Flair is one of them, and Bret Hart is for sure as hell the second name that could be on that list. You know, you can have Bret and Jim talk, accept all that good stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that. That'd be awesome. It would finally get him in because I don't think they'd ever put Pillman in by himself. Or Bulldog should go in by himself. I mean, hell, he did a lot. And
I mean, he's really worthy of 2 inductions between his singles run and the Bulldogs. You know, just that.
I mean, if they, I don't know. I know Dynamite Kid's in bad shape to get over here and probably do the Hall of Fame. But yeah, definitely the British Bulldogs need to go in as a tag team.
Yeah, I agree. Would wholeheartedly agree there. So, gonna be interested if they pop up. Kurt Angle is a total surprise, like you'd mentioned earlier on the show, Andrew. That DDP was allegedly going to be the headliner, and while there wasn't anything wrong with that, it did kind of miss a little bit of oomph because there's only so many of those megastars in the business, and DDP was certainly a huge star and just a workhorse, but probably, right under the cusp of one of the megastars, and Angle probably would have fit that bill. So I think, adding him certainly filled out the class and really made it's a pretty good crew of guys. I think it's going to make for an entertaining ceremony. Should have a lot of great guest inductors. So, looking forward to it as always. But next week we'll be back on the show with our urban legend discussion. So get your topics ready. Tweet us up about that. Going to be a lot of fun. Upcoming appearances, I got too many to mention, so just follow me on social media at Dragons Rejects. Who was about to pipe in there?
Actually, we lost Andrew, but we just got him back in.
Man, my fucking phone, I'm sorry, man. This shit's pissing me off. To all the listeners, the only time I talk on the phone, literally, is this podcast. So I never know what it's going to do.
Are you on speaker or are you on direct voice?
Yes, live radio, man. You never know what's going to happen. You never know.
Nope.
But been a great episode, gentlemen. Any appearances you want to plug, Tank, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I've got a couple of shows. I got one coming up this weekend in Chatsworth, Georgia, at RCW. Next weekend for DSCW in Jasper, Georgia, big show with Jeff Hardy there. And then February, I'm kind of taking a little break. And then March and April, we're filling up. And it was confirmed yesterday I will be in the On Point Survival of the Sickest Deathmatch Tournament in Williamstown, New Jersey on May 6th. So I have those to look forward to and just keep this train rolling, I guess.
Hell yeah. Fast Eddie Layne, before we get out of here, any final plugs?
Of course, keep your eyes open to BeyondRingside.com, and of course, Facebook.com/BeyondRingside Live is the fan page for me personally. FastEddieLane.com. I'll be back with Global Championship Wrestling this coming Saturday night, Pell City, Alabama. Back with Peach State Wrestling Alliance on Saturday, February the 4th. And Tank, do me a favor, stay on the line when you're done. I want to get those appearances down for the slideshow. Same with you, Dan. Andrew, you need to start making more appearances.
Nope, not going to happen. I have zero interest.
Is he officially retired, folks? Only time will tell, but we'll find out more next week on the Midnight Black Match, where we talk about pro wrestling's most mysterious urban legends. This is Rev Dan Wilson for Andrew Alexander, the Strong Style Psycho Tank, and Fast Eddie Layne, saying keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. Good night.